Hello authors! Today I am mixing things up a bit and breaking from the norm and posting a long video. I know, I'm sorry, but I promise it will be worth it. I was asked to speak at an event earlier this month called CampFI. This is a retreat for people who are focused on getting their financial house in order. And most of the talks really focused on designing your life, building community, and what you can do with your life once you no longer have to worry about money, real estate as investments, and things of that nature. It was a really fun event, and it was an honor to be able to give a presentation on finding a passion, which you'll be able to see here shortly. Many of you watching who are authors have probably already identified writing as your passion, so it may seem silly for me to post a video that's all about trying to find your passion, right? But I wanted to share with you my other passion, which is financial independence. Many of us indie authors love writing and dream of one day being able to go full-time as a writer. So that's a lot of work on the writing side, but it's also important to make sure that your personal financial house is in order and understanding your finances in order to get there too. And that's the part that some of us just don't like to talk about or think about, but I want to make sure that you're all empowered to know that for yourself. So my husband and I discovered FI, or financial independence, a few years ago, and it's really helped us to educate ourselves on getting out of debt, staying out of debt, saving for our retirements, and then once that's done, it's wow, we have all this time to focus on things that matter the most to us in life because there isn't this huge financial worry on us. I know for myself, once that burden was cleared in my mind, I was able to focus so much more on my writing and give so much more to my craft, and really write because I love to write, not because I'm like, well, I have to make money to pay for X. It's truly something that I just love to do. So I'll be bringing you more videos in 2019 on this topic. It's something that I do feel passionately about, whether it's finances as they relate to your business, getting your taxes in order, things like that. I want to make sure that you all have that education and knowledge. And some of the projects I've kind of been alluding to over the past few posts that I've done are around these secret projects I'm working on. I can tell you right now that they are all related to financial independence. So there's two big projects coming around the corner. They're going to be nonfiction, which is a break for me, but they're hopefully going to help a lot of people with financial literacy, which is something that isn't taught at all in our country, which is crazy because we all know how to, do the Pythagorean theorem and other math problems, or we have to know all the things for chemistry, even though some of us never use it, but nobody's taught how to balance a checkbook and how to understand how to put money into a 401k to save for their finances. So I'm hopefully going to help bridge the gap and help so many people with that. So I can't wait to tell you more about these projects once they're ready. So soon. But in the meantime, after you watch this presentation of mine, if you're really curious about learning more about financial independence or learning more about this community of people who are all supporting each other and helping each other, which is just beautiful, definitely visit campfi.org. They have events all over the country. They're usually just little weekend get-togethers, and it's great. You can listen to the speeches, you can talk with other people, and everybody we've met has been so warm and welcoming and wanting to help others. And bottom line is they're all money nerds, and pretty much every author I know is just a general nerd, so it's a good combination of both nerderies. So I really hope that you enjoy this presentation. Leave comments below if you have any questions. This is my first speaking gig as an author, so my first public speaking event in several years, so there's definitely a few ahs and ums in there. So as I continue to do more of these, hopefully they will come out and I'll continue to post more of them so you can follow that progression too. But definitely enjoy. If you like it, please click like or subscribe below, and now you can enjoy your presentation.
Thank you, you did great.
Okay, thanks. Hi everyone, I'm MK. I'm an author and a creative entrepreneur. Some of you may know me from past camps or FI meetups and activities, or you may have seen me on the FIRE Twitterverse because who doesn't like GIFs? Or you may have even heard me on the Choose a FI podcast episode from Passion to Profit. Yes, I am the one who wrote the FI fiction book. That's me. That's what I did. So I know all of you are now thinking, if you don't have a popular FI blog, what are you doing presenting here? And fun fact, my husband and I actually do have a FI blog. We are currently competing with Steven to see who can go the longest without posting. And he's beating us, but we're gaining on him. So many, many moons ago, when we first discovered FIRE and the FI community, we thought, yeah, let's write a blog. We can tell everybody about it. But the FIRE is already spreading, so now it's really just our family looks in when we post about our trips, because why would we tell them in person when they can just read it on our blog that nobody else goes to? And if that didn't convince you that I'm clearly the most qualified person to be talking here today, I am. Because today I'm going to talk to you about one thing, and one thing only. passion? But I know it's a little early, like you're also drinking your coffee and like it's pretty deep personal stuff. So maybe we should all get to know each other a bit better first and just break the ice. All right. So what do? That's the icebreaker you have to ask everybody when you meet them, right? Because everybody has a job. Everybody has to work. They all have an occupation. So obviously, that's the best question to ask. And the expected response is what you do for a living, because we all have to make a living. Nobody can save enough to retire. What is that? And the interesting thing about it is that we're so used to just giving out our occupation. It's like a 3-word sentence. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a marketer, I'm a banker. But when you say it like that, it doesn't sound that great. I mean, you could be somebody who loves your job, loves it, in which case you're going to take off with that conversation. That other person's not going to get a word in edgewise because you're just going to say how much you love it. But if you don't love it, it's kind of this perfunctory, like, I have a job, I sit at a computer, you start to slump over. You can like picture the blue light on their face day after day after day, right? So it's one of those questions where it's supposed to be a conversation starter, but what if that's not the conversation we want to be having? And more to the point, it ties us to this identity of what our job is. And so if we want to get out of our jobs and we don't want our identity tied to what we do, or we don't particularly like if somebody's maybe sizing us up like, oh, you have a low-paying job, okay. Oh, you have a high-paying job, cool, I want to talk to you. Like, we try to get away from that in this community. So maybe we need better questions to ask each other, right? I mean, you don't want to just sit with the babs all day. All right. So what are some other questions we could ask to break the ice then, right, before we dive in? So what's your favorite color? Okay, this is a fun question. But again, it's really not going to spark much conversation unless we have the same favorite color, and then 2 minutes later, we're done talking. Okay, so what is your quest? Okay. Now this is a good one, right? Because it gets more to the point of what you want to do, and you'll get who gets the Monty Python reference, right? So you know like who you want to talk to, and like if you don't want to talk to them because they don't get the reference, but you don't want to hang around the bridge of death all day either. So maybe we need a different question. All right, what's the next one? Oh, what is your passion? Okay, now this could work, right? Because this is the thing that you want to be doing, right? How you want to be spending your time. And so maybe, you know, instead of us asking other people, so what do? We can say, what is your passion? Okay, that'd be a good conversation starter. And if other people ask us, maybe in our minds we just translate, so what do you do to, what is your passion? Okay, so if your passion happens to be your occupation, perfect, you're set. And if it's something else, you can still talk about it. But how many of you would have this reaction if I asked you this question right now? Okay, so not all of us are fortunate enough to know what our passion is right away. It takes time to explore this and figure this out. And so if you're sitting here drinking your coffee like, well, I know what my passion is, good for you. You enjoy that. Go on a little mental trip to your passion land. And the rest of us are going to figure out what that is. All right. So those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. This is a very impactful quote by Viktor Frankl. And thankfully, most of us will never have to endure nearly what he did to figure out what our why is. But it also speaks to the fact that we have a how. Maybe we have a day job that does great on us. Maybe we have situations that we just want to get out of and break free from. And so we need that why to get us through it. So in my situation, I have a day job. I like it, but it's a how. It gets me to my why, which is wanting to be able to write and spend time on that passion and creative endeavors more. So one of the things I'm going to be talking about today is passion. I made that clear, but I've also brought up a why. I maybe mentioned purpose. So for those of you in the room who don't know what your passion is, I'm guessing you don't know, like, well, I know my mission and my why and my purpose, but I don't know my passion. You probably would have figured that out. So I'm going to be using these terms synonymously today as like an introductory. So I do know that they have different definitions. I like words, but just, okay. Little disclaimer. Okay, so I'm going to be going over some examples of other thought leaders in the FI space who brought up this concept before. And most of the top blogs and top thought leaders in our space talk about this. I'm just going to go over 2. So there'll be links to these 2 in the presentation. But if there's more that you want to research, I highly recommend that you do that. There's so many different ways to get there and so many different paths you can travel to find your passion, your purpose, your mission. So continue to look into that. But hopefully I help you and you'll be set and you won't have to look at anything. So the first example I'm going to go over today is the personal mission statement from J.D. Roth. So he writes at Get Rich Slowly and Money Boss. He's been to every camp. He's J.D. Roth. Like, anyways. So the personal mission statement, the whole point of that is to figure out what you want to do with your time, right? That's our most precious resource, and that's the thing we're all trying to buy with financial independence. So we did this exercise 2 years ago at the first camp that we went to, and this was a really eye-opening experience for myself and my husband. And since that point, our trajectory has been much more positive to get us to where we want to be. And I actually redid this exercise 3 weeks ago while I was preparing for this presentation. And believe it or not, my mission has changed since then. It seems kind of silly, right? But it's okay if your passion and your mission changes over time, because 5 years from now, my passion may be spending time with my kids. But I don't have any kids now, so it'd be weird if that was my passion at this moment. Okay? All right. So the next example I'm going to talk about is Brandon from the Mad Scientist and his hierarchy of needs. So a lot of us spend a lot of time in the first 4 steps, right? We're getting our systems in place to reach FI. So we're getting out of debt, we're saving, we're investing, we're looking into real estate, we're getting all the money systems going. And then we're like, okay, we're there, and we have to figure out the tiniest part at the top, which is our purpose or our passion. But that's really gonna be the thing that we spend the most time on, because the systems are in place. Once you have it all going, the money's just making more of itself. So trying to figure out what this top tier is. And there's a reason why so many people in the community talk about this, and why we'll see this so many different ways and so many different phrases for it. Because we know that once we get to this magic FI number, or we're in early retirement, that we have to spend our time doing something. We're gonna get bored of just the menial tasks. You can only watch so much Netflix. You can only take so many trips, and then you're thinking, so what is it I'm gonna give back? What am I gonna do to fill my time? So that's why we need to find our passion. And that is why I'm gonna help you get a low-cost refi today. Did I lose any of you? No, it totally made sense, right? Okay, so if FIRE is our big aim, we spend a lot of time talking about the FI, but we also need to be focusing on the RE. Otherwise, we're gonna burn out, because we're gonna be working so hard, extra hours, every extra cent goes into FI, but what's the extra effort we're putting into the RE part, retire early? Why not just say, YOLO, I'll go to all the restaurants, take all the trips, buy all the things now, because I would love to do that. But because we have a why, we can get through that how. So my husband and I were talking several months ago about all the different controversy over our trusty little acronym of FIRE, and how now it should just be FI because not everybody is RE, or if you do something that makes you any money, then the Internet Retirement Police are gonna come out, so maybe it's not FI or FIRE, maybe it's FIOR, optional retirement, or I heard last week recreational employment, or is it FFLC, fully funded lifestyle change? But then my husband, being the clever man that he is, said, no, we need to re-FI. We need to focus on what we're gonna be doing and think about that before we get to FI. And so that's one of the things that we wanna be focused on, right? We wanna find what's gonna bring us our enjoyment. Thanks, Boo. Okay, so now that we're sold on getting our low-cost refi and figuring out what our passion is, what is a passion? I mean, maybe people talk about it, but what is it really when you break it down? So when I was thinking about all the things that go into a passion, for my passions, when I talk to other people who have a passion, these 5 elements kept coming out over and over and over again. So the first thing is excitement. You should be excited about what your passion is. Just thinking about that time you're gonna spend on your passion should give you energy. Maybe you're tired and you're sleepy, but you think, oh, I get to work on my sailboat today. I don't know. Or I get to go and work on my art today. You're like, okay, I'm excited. I don't even need the coffee. I'm ready to go. Excitement about it. You love to learn more about it. It's something where you want to explore every different rabbit hole of this thing, whatever it is, so that you can continue to spend more time on it because you find it exciting. Third is that it's challenging and that it allows for growth. If it's challenging to the point where you hate it and it's miserable, well, okay, then the first one's gone. It's not really a passion. But if it's challenging to the point where you are constantly learning and getting that excitement, that's going to keep you going with that. So an example is like, I wouldn't say I have a passion for tying sailor's knots because I'm going to master how to do that in, what, a day, an hour. But if I have a passion for sailing, I'm going to find all the different knots and learn how to do those because that's challenging. I'm going to learn all the different terms and I'm going to learn all the different routes and how I don't do sailing. But if you do and it's your passion, you can teach me about it because you're excited and you've learned all about it. Okay, there's a community around it. So again, if it's challenging, you have somebody to talk to help you with those challenges. You're teaching other people. You're sharing that excitement together and you're just nerding out for hours on sailing or something. And that it has value to you as a person. Now, this doesn't mean it pays you anything. It has value to you as a person. So the time that you spend on this activity, this passion project, whatever it is valuable to you, and your life would be a little bit grayer if you didn't have it. Again, no money changing hands, just that you like it. Okay. So For anybody sitting here who thinks that they don't have a passion, I'm going to prove you wrong right now. So do you get excited when you have an excuse to talk about savings rates and tax-exempt accounts? All right. Do you spend hours reading FI blogs when you should be doing something else? Okay. Do you know more about personal finance than you did a year ago? 5 years ago? Are you in this room with a community of people who feel the same way? Do you find that the time you spend on 5 things is valuable? Check, you all have a passion. All right, woohoo. All right, now get ready for this. You can have more than one passion. I know, mind blown. It's too early, you haven't had enough coffee for this, but it's true. You can have more than one passion. For example, yes, I am passionate about FI and FI things, but I'm a writer. I love to write, I love to read. I really won't shut up about the books that I love or hate or the characters that they killed off. I mean, what's going on with that? And I found a community around that because, again, I want to be able to share that with people and I find it valuable to me. Now, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is that passion does not always have to lead to profit. So I know so many of us in this room, we're all really good at optimizing, right? We think, oh, I love to do this, and then I get a side hustle with it, and I can do this, and I do this. Stop after the first part. I love it. The rest of it doesn't matter. And we spend so much time optimizing to think, well, is it going to make me money? It doesn't need to. Because if my husband and I wanted to get to our fat FI number faster, to get more like passive side income, I would not have picked being a novelist. I would have picked something very different. I write because I like to do it. And if I never sold another book, but you can still buy one. If I never sold another one, I would still keep writing because I love to do it. I would write and write and write and tell stories until the day I drop dead because I just love to do it. So one of the things that, as I've been talking about this, I've noticed a few people like taking notes or like drinking coffee. Maybe that's why your eyes are lighting up. I don't know. But what have you been thinking about? Has anything like started to spark where you're like, yeah, I was excited about this thing, but then life got in the way. Or, oh yeah, I was picturing it like I worked so hard to like get my mile time down and I ran and told somebody and I was so excited, but they weren't excited. Okay, so maybe I need to find somebody else who's excited about that for me. Or maybe even talking forever about taking a language class and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. Think about that, picture it, focus on it, write it down. So one of the things that I also want to go over is that your passion for personal finance, if that's the only passion you ever have, that's a-okay. Some people have multiple passions, some people have one, some people are still finding it. We're all on this journey in a different place, right? Just like with FI, we're all in a different place on our journey. And so thankfully, several people in this room, in this overall community, have combined a passion for writing with FI, and they're putting out blogs, they're putting out podcasts, they're educating people about this and bringing more people into our community. And for that, that's amazing that they were able to combine their passions. But if you don't have a passion for writing a blog, it's okay. You don't have to have a blog to be in this community. My husband and I have met so many amazing people who are new to this community, and they're like, so we should start a blog, right? And I'm like, you can if you want to, absolutely. But if you don't want to write a blog, don't write a blog. If your passion is climbing a mountain, go climb a mountain with somebody and tell them about tax-exempt accounts the whole way up. Find what works for you. Or more to the point, I mentioned we started a blog and it's gone nowhere. Because yes, I have a passion for writing and passion for FI, but I don't want to write a blog. So you can find different ways to express your passion so you can all have a rewarding FIRE experience. It can be different. So think outside the box, think of what your passion is, and find that. So while you've been thinking about this, what have you been picturing in your mind? What has it been? Was it a quiet morning on a lake, just you and a kayak and nobody around? Sunset's coming up. Is that it? Or are you about to start a charity? So you're finally gonna get to give back. All those years you've been saying, I'm gonna give back, and you're finally gonna do it because you're starting it. Or do you get to spend a whole day with your kids uninterrupted? And they're angels the whole day. There's no meltdowns in this picture day. Or were you taking cooking classes for months and you're finally gonna make a gourmet meal for your family to enjoy and you know they're gonna like it because you took the classes, because you love it? What is it? Picture it in your mind right now. Close your eyes and just picture it in your mind, whatever that might be. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you hear it? All right, open your eyes. So what do you do? Okay. Ta-da!